all will go well. Okay, all right, we're recording. Okay, awesome. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. I will be monitoring the chat, and just so that I can make sure that I am here seeing what you're responding to. If you all know me and have been a part of the prayer call or seeing my posts, watching my videos, I like things to be interactive as much as we can. So go ahead and greet everyone, say good evening to each other so that we can kind of feel like we're in the same room, okay? I want the chat to be very interactive, be respectful of others in the chat, okay? And hopefully we don't have people that have joined to cause some problems. And if they have, you just ignore them, okay? And enjoy the class. How many of you have a pen and paper ready to go? Do you have your pen and paper ready to go? All right? Pen and paper ready to go. I see some hands that are raised. If you can put your questions in the chat, we'll try to get your questions answered. Just for the sake of time, I want to make sure that I can focus in on the content and get what you need from there, okay? Everybody good to go? We good to go, okay? Awesome. Okay, everybody say yes. Good, good. I want to just start with this. I posted decided to do this, Finding Your Purpose and Passion. I felt led of the Lord to actually do this class. And what I realized after posting about it, how so many people feel like they don't understand their purpose and passion, and they want to know, right? What is it that God has called me to do, okay? Now, this won't be a preaching type of thing. I want to walk through it. I want to show you some things. This is a faith-based approach to your purpose. So if you've joined and you see scriptures, hear scriptures, I want to share the word of God. I'm super passionate about helping people find their purpose and passion, to maximize their potential, to walk in the fullness of all that God has for them, right? That's what I feel that I am called to do, right? To get you where God has called you to be so that you can thrive and enjoy your life. The worst thing is to sit somewhere in your life feeling stuck, right? And how many of you have ever woke up at the beginning of the year or was approaching the end of the year, or you may be there right now, and you feel stuck, right? Okay, a lot of people do. I mean, I didn't imagine that having this class would cause 400 to 500 people to join my mailing list. And then some of them, after they join, they may have not known what else to do to get on the webinar, but we actually had 170 people that have registered. So that means that a lot of people are uncertain about what God has called them to do. And some people are over 50, over 40, over 30, okay? And you still don't know what God has called you to do. And hopefully, as we go through tonight, you'll get some clarity. And my prayer has been that God will give you clarity. As we're going through this, ideas will begin to flow, okay? Concepts will begin to flow. God will solidify some things. We're not going to learn everything, and we'll be here probably for an hour and a half. So if you have to cook, you may have to multitask, okay? But I want you to get this, okay? All right? And so y'all know I talk long, but I'm going to try to be concise to get the information to you. I do want you to hang out at the very end, because guess what I'm doing? Many of you have asked, and I've been healing for the past few years, and I've gotten the good go to be able to, I'm starting my coaching series and classes and mentorship programs. And I'm not going to talk about that until the very end. Okay, so if you've been waiting for that, many of you have, you'll be the first ones to know. Okay, you're the first ones to know outside of those who've been praying for me. And I want those, I want you to reach your full potential. I want you to live it out. I want you to do what God has called you to do. I want you to wake up and enjoy the life that you have. Even if you don't have all the money that you think you should have, I want you to get out of those dead-end careers. I don't want you to feel like you're on a hamster wheel. I want to jerk that slack and shake it out of you so that you can go and do what God has called you to do and do it well. I want you to do it well, not think about fear, push past that fear. And we're going to talk about that tonight. So let's go ahead and jump right on in. All right, some questions, and I want you to put this in the chat. What would you do if you had a year off fully paid? What would you do? Seriously, type it in the chat. What would you do if you had a year off, right, and it was fully paid? You don't have to worry about bills. You don't have to worry about taxes. You don't have to worry about debt. You literally can go do whatever you wanted to do. What would you do? Some of you may say, I just want to go to sleep, okay? Let me know. Travel, vacation with my family, relax, travel, vacation, okay? Most people are going to say travel. And this is what I'm getting chills doing this thing, okay? I want you to write this in your notebook. Make a promise to yourself today. I don't care if your account is in the negative, all right? I don't care if you are a single mom, you have kids, you're on welfare, you don't know what it is to get you where you need to go, okay? What I want you to do tonight, write in your journal right now, put the date, put the time, and I want you to say, I will travel and go to places that I've never gone before, okay? And I want you to make that a part of your confession. What you type in there, travel and take care of my kids, eat at my favorite restaurant, okay? They just want to go be able to have the freedom because money is not the issue. Money isn't driving. Money isn't putting that barrier around life. And unfortunately, as you'll find out, you've allowed money to hinder your destiny and your purpose. And that money problem has hindered how you believe, all right? Okay? It has. So I want you to write down, I'm going to travel, and type down, over the next 365 days, I'm going to travel somewhere that I've never been before, okay? Hopefully I can stretch your faith so that you can believe that this is possible. And many of you who follow me are believers. And what do believers do? We believe, okay? We live by faith. And since we live by faith, we believe for things that we want to see manifested in our lives, okay? And so with that said, you don't have to think, oh, when I retire or when I get some money, okay? With that said, you're going to believe. All right. You're going to believe that you're going to do this. I would like to travel the world. That was someone said. I would like to travel on different cruises. Okay. I want to go places that I've never been before. That's what I just said. Write that down in your journal. Okay. Make it a part of your confession. I want that little limitation that you've had. I want you to stretch yourself. Okay. For me, if I had the opportunity to do this, for me, I would be talking and speaking somewhere around the world, and I would be traveling, okay? So I would walk fully in my purpose. That's what I would do, right? And you say, well, Angela, I feel like you are. Now, there's some areas of my life because of responsibility and security I haven't stepped out in, right? Okay, and we're going to talk about that as well. So awesome, good answers. Write down and put it in your journal. Make it a part of your daily confession. Next question. If you could have one superpower, what would it be And what would you use it for? Take some time to type in the chat. If you could have one superpower, what would it be? And what would you use it for? You have a superpower. You do. Your faith is your superpower. Type that in the chat. Now that's one thing, right? But that's not the thing. I want you to really think about it. But faith is a superpower. Faith makes the unseen seen. Faith shifts atmospheres. Faith is going to take you on that trip in the next 365 days. And you're not going to base it on the money you have in your bank account, because we don't put limits on what God can do and how he can do it. All right? You don't know how he can get it to you. You just believe. All right? Okay? They said faith. Faith is my superpower. Someone said I can heal the sick. All right? I want to have the ability to heal the sick so that everyone is healed. All right? I know the answer that I had to this question. And as I'm sitting here talking, this is just, let's be transparent. Someone said they would give. If I could just make money, right? Just make money to solve needs, right? To satisfy needs, I would do it. To make someone happy, I would do it, right? But sometimes that type of power causes people to have trust in you and not in God. You get what I'm saying? Then you become their source and not God being their source. But I used to, like, when this question is asked of me, I think of things like, I wish that I could heal people is something that, and y'all, we can do it, right? If you believe by faith, you can lay hands on the sick and the sick can recover, all right? So there are some things that your faith meter needs to be jacked up so that you can have what God has already given you in this life, all right? So now, let's talk about what we're going to cover tonight, okay? What is your purpose, all right? What is your purpose? What is purpose, rather? What is passion? We're going to talk about how you can identify your core values. We're going to talk about how your strength, knowing your strengths and your weaknesses, right? A lot of times you can tell us what you don't like to do and what you don't do, but you don't really talk about what you're good at. We're going to talk about, are fears holding you back? Are fears holding you back from walking in your destiny? What actions you need to take to identify your purpose and your passion? There's some other things in here that we're also going to cover. So this says, what separates those who thrive in life from those who struggle? What separates those people is them understanding their unique calling and their unique talent. They may not know it specifically, but they've chosen to walk fully in what they are good at, what they wake up and feel passionate about. Think about the people that paint, the people that act, the people that preach, that entrepreneur that decided they were going to go out and start a business, the Microsoft guys of the world, right? And sometimes you don't have to do something so absolutely amazing. Sometimes you're the person that's going to give birth to Joseph, nurture him so that he can rise up and be a leader in the nation that will save people, right? Some of you have very different, unique callings. Some of you are called to the marketplace so that you can minister to people and lead them to Jesus. And then they become the next, minister that is going to touch lives in the world. And they may touch millions of people, and you through them touch their lives. Some of you may have an amazing baking gift, and you give that gift to the world. Some of you may know how to do different types of crafts. So, but what has happened is these individuals have decided not to allow fear, not to allow doubt, not to allow any handicaps that they may think they have or others think they have, and they go forward to do all that God has called them to do. All right. I want to give y'all an example that's coming to my mind. Do any of you know the guy. He has no arms and legs, and he's like a motivational speaker. All right. Have you seen that guy? Right. What he decided was, regardless of my limbs, my lack of it is not going to limit me from walking in my purpose. And my question to you is this: what have you allowed that you feel is an insecurity or a deficiency to keep you from walking fully in your purpose? All right. And tonight, I'm doing a lot of hopefully causing you to open your mind to receive that you really do have some ideas about what your purpose is. While there are certainly a number of factors that are at play with why those people are successful and why some are not, it's because they understand their purpose and their passion. And sometimes they could be wrong, but they're just confidently wrong about it. You know what I mean? Like, they're just so confident that they can do it. I want to give you an example, okay? And you all may not believe this. By my personality, when I was younger, I was shy, right? I'm not the kind of person that actually, in my natural state, that just walks up and talks to people, right? Okay? And so I say this, and you'll hear me say this if you do my coaching and things like that, or hang around me and I'm mentoring you. I always talk about fear will keep you broke and fear will keep you stuck, right? And so that limitation, I've learned how to overcome it, right? I used to be uncomfortable about speaking, all right? And some of you are uncomfortable about speaking. Some of you are uncomfortable about what people are going to think about what you post. You're uncomfortable about what you wear. Like, you have allowed people and what they think of you to keep you from walking fully in it. You will allow those opinions to stop you from walking in your purpose. And what I'm going to tell you tonight, you got to push past all of that and allow God to use you in an awesome way, because God has a good plan for your life. Type that in the chat. God has a good plan for your life. He has a good plan for my life. And how we align that plan and our plans to his plan, it helps us to feel that fullness, right? Okay? In our lives. How many of you feel like you just really don't know? Like, what is in my passion? What am I supposed to do, right? What am I supposed to do? Do you still, and if you're on here, that's why you're here. Just like, what am I supposed to do? I won't call someone's name, but a friend of mine is coming to my mind. And this young lady, I met her a few years ago. And when I met her, I saw something so much bigger in her than she even saw in herself. I literally could see it. I was like, oh my gosh, who's this lady? And so we ended up, I would see her, watched her page, and then we ended up connected, right? And when I first talked to her, I told her what I saw in her. And she was like, wow, really? You see all of that, right? And this was a few years ago. And what I'm seeing now is that person start to blossom into what I saw, because she has confidence in who she is. And you have to work on who you are. And little by little, God begins to reveal what he's called you to do. You start to doing those things that you're passionate about. It's almost like he drives you to it because you're trusting in him, okay? And I had that conversation with her recently, and I said, do you remember when I first talked to you? And she said, yes, right? And God is using her now, and she's helping moms actually earn an extra stream of income, confidently walking in it. And at that time, she was doing some of those things, but not at the magnitude that she's doing right now, okay? And so sometimes it's not going to happen overnight. Joseph, Moses, it's just not just going to happen overnight. Joshua, right? It's not going to happen overnight, Esther. And I'm calling out these names because sometimes you may look at yourself and look at your age and you think, oh my gosh, I'm not there. I remember when I turned 45, and I'm not 45 right now. Okay. I turned 45, and I am never sad on my birthday. Never sad. I'm always oh my gosh, I made it another year. That year, I was sad. I felt like at 45, I had not accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. I had just come out of that hard place. I was married, but I wasn't feeling fulfilled. I wasn't even feeling like I was making a difference in people's lives. I was working at a nonprofit organization. And as I was working at that nonprofit organization, I was just being me, right? I'm always preaching and talking and encouraging. I'm always somewhere trying to help somebody with a business idea, ideas coming to me, something. That's just who I am. It's like I was born to coach and mentor and guide and lead, like, okay? And I remember talking to one of my coworkers that day, and I said, she was like, happy birthday. And I just was transparent with her. I said, I'm just not feeling like I've wasted my life. I was like, at 45, I thought I would be so further along. Like I wanted my career to be at a certain place. And I just felt like I was starting over at 45. And one thing she said, I just want you to know that you're touching my life and you're making an impact. And I wasn't feeling like I was making an impact on anything. You hear me? Like not at all. And many people were relying on me for encouragement, motivation, leadership. And I just didn't feel like I was making a difference. And I would say, God, is this what I'm supposed to do? And when she encouraged me, she said, you don't even realize just your presence here and the encouragement and your consistency and your passion for God has ignited the passion in my life. And it made me realize I was so caught up in a corporate career and money and what I was supposed to accomplish in my mind that I wasn't focused on what is it that God was doing in me and what was God doing through me. And I was so distracted with those emotions. And I want to encourage you, don't allow those emotions make you feel like your life is worthless. Type in the chat, my life is valuable. And I want you to know that your life is valuable to God, okay? There is no passion to be found playing small and settling for life, a life that is less than the one you are capable of living, okay? All right, let's say that. There is no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living, okay? Y'all may not know this, but I didn't come from like a rich family. I came from very humble beginnings. I actually, as we were going through the other day, and I didn't post about it, but I was thinking about it. When I grew up, my mom was a teenage mother, okay? My mother, and I've shared this in the past, my mother, my dad was married or engaged, I think, and my mom was the girl on the side, as we say, chick on the side. So I'm the girl on the side's daughter, okay? All right? And if God can use my life, okay? He can use yours, okay? Just think of that, right? Even in the midst of that, destiny was still being born and birthed in little old me, and it is in you. And what I appreciate about that process was this. My dad was never absent, okay? He always instilled in me that I can do whatever I wanted to do and be whatever I wanted to be. So much so that I've always thought big. And some of you may not have had that, but you have me, and I want to encourage you to stop thinking small because of what you've gone through, because of where you are right now. God can expand your capacity to receive the abundance that he's called you to. Amen. And you got to decide that I'm not going to be thinking small. And I have a slide here later. I want y'all to type this in and say it. I am open to all of God's possibilities for me. Type that in and say it. I am open to all of God's possibilities for me. Okay. This scripture, I want y'all to write this down. It says, the Lord will fulfill his purpose for me. Your steadfast love, O Lord, endures forever. Do not forsake the work of your hand. Okay. God is going to fulfill his purpose. God fulfilled his purpose even in my mistakes. There's enough grace even for your mistakes. Okay. And God can pull you up out of that and still use your life and cause you to walk in the plan and purpose that he has for you. Okay. I haven't lived a perfect life. I haven't always made the right decisions, right? And there were consequences that I had to live out, but at the end of the day, it did not stop what God had uniquely created Angela Brown to do and to be. Okay. All right. I am open. Type that in. Write that in your journal as well. What is purpose? Let's talk about that. What is purpose? Purpose is an abiding intention to achieve. This is a definition that I found on the internet. A long-term goal that's both personal, meaningful, and makes a positive mark on the world. Okay. So let me give you an example of this. And I want y'all to think about these things, and you can type it in the chat. As I'm talking about this, purpose is an abiding intention to achieve a long-term goal. And I don't think it's just a long-term goal. It's kind of the why you're born in a sense, right? So there are some things about me that I just like to do, right? And let me say this. Some of you, if I said, what is it that you like to do? Right, and y'all watch what happens, okay? And I have the answer. What is it that you like to do? Most people will say, I love helping people, right? There are some people that are just created for that. You say, I love helping people, okay? And some of you are typing, I said, what do you like to do, right? The issue is you're focused so much on what's not happening, and you're so focused sometimes on caring for other people that you don't even realize what it is that you like to do. You don't even know what you're good at, right? So type in, if y'all don't mind, what are some things that you think you're good at? Because it's deeper than setting a goal, right? Okay. So I've always enjoyed talking to people. I always enjoy helping people. I've always been, always have been bossy, as they say. But I know now that those are leadership qualities that need to be nurtured, right? So you have children. Some of you have grandchildren. You say, you're just so bossy, right? You got to learn how to nurture that into the leader that they need to become. I love cooking, baking, right? Think about this. Some of you are so limited and have limited yourself. Let me say not so limited. You've limited yourself so much that you feel like you're not even open to allowing God to let you do what you love. And I get on the internet and I see so many young people that are out here. They're cooking, they're baking, they have a decorating business. They've got the businesses that you go around and you cut up the food, and I can't pronounce the word properly. Cut up the food and put it pretty on the table. There are some of you that are called to take businesses to the next level, teach churches how to expand and grow, go into business and do coaching and leadership. Some of you are called to write books that are going to change people's lives, okay? Because you love to write. Some of you have a gift with children, right? Some of you are excellent counselors. And you like bottle that up into this little old thing called a job, right? Oh yeah, I just cook for my folks. Y'all think about this. There's a guy that I saw when he started making seasoning years ago on the internet. Seasoning. He was good at putting seasonings together, okay? And I remember a good friend of mine, she might be on this webinar. And she said God gave her an idea to start putting seasonings together. And they both had the idea around the same time, right? Okay. This guy right now, today, after he started, and he kept going. His seasonings are in Costco. Okay. Do you hear me? Today, this guy came to our house and he was an electrician, right? Everybody is not meant to go to college and do that. He came in, did all the services, and I told my husband, I just calculated how much we paid him and how much if he did that and went to 3 or 4 houses, how that's his gifting. He was so good at it. He was passionate about it. All right. Some people, you may start all different kinds of businesses. And some of you, let me say this right now so you know this. God will not let you be comfortable where you are because you have settled where you are and you're not pressing into where he's called you to be. Do y'all hear me? All right. Your purpose is what you were born to do and be. All right. It's what you're born to do and be. And you can actually hinder that from coming to pass. And you say, well, Angela, why? God's will is going to be done. Nothing can stop the favor of God. If God is for me, who can be against me? But do you know you can stop you? All right. I want to read this. The purpose of a man's heart is like deep waters. A man of wisdom will draw it out. Okay. All right. You're going to draw it out. You're going to spend time with God and the word of God. What's your passion? Now let's move on to passion. Passion is what moves you. Passion is what makes you come alive. All right. Why purpose and passion matter? Let's talk about that. Why are purpose and passion so important? Why do you think that? I want to pause and see what you all have to say. Somebody say, I love speaking, helping others, and cooking. Awesome. I love to write. Okay, Becky, I'm going to call you out. Becky, you love to write? What are you doing with your writing? Are you good at training people on how to write? Okay. Or are you just good at writing like different types of stories, fictional, non-fictional? Okay. What are you good at? You like to write poems. Have you written your poem book yet? All right. Have you written your poem book yet, lady? All right. Let me see what else. Love counseling people. I'm starting my school soon. Okay. Soon is not a day. Raven, when are you starting your school? Okay. What do you need to do to start your school? Okay. Raven, put a date on it. You got to put some goals and some dates around it. When are you starting your school? And Raven may, because you got to type fast, right? Raven, this is a challenge to you. When are you starting your school? This fall. Awesome. Okay. And so I'm not saying set unrealistic goals, but someday, y'all listen to me, someday is not a day. Okay. When I get older is not a day, because you're going to be older in an hour. Okay. Y'all hear me? Okay. And time is going to pass. You might as well be winning. You might as well be walking in your purpose. You might as well be walking in the plans that God has for your life. Okay. Let's see. Someone said, Patricia says, I like encouraging others. Okay. Me too, Patricia. That's something that I think about. I think about when I go to bed at night. I think about how I can encourage someone or show them something or teach them something. I really think about business a lot, like teaching people how to grow business, how to make money. Like my mind thinks of ideas on how to start businesses, what types of businesses to start. More here, and I do, of course, because I'm a believer, I talk about the Lord, but I do enjoy business, right? I see things and I want to make things better, right? And so everyone may not be called to start a business, even though I think you can, right? I think that there are some limitations that people place around their lives, but we can, right? We can be entrepreneurs. We can thrive in the marketplace, but it does require effort, it requires work, and it requires growth. Okay. All right. Passion and purpose are so important because it makes you want to wake up and do it, even when you don't feel like it. It doesn't even feel like work, right? So someone said they love to cook. They don't even think about it. I don't like that. I don't like to cook. I don't want to think about no menus. I don't want to think about no recipes. I don't want to think about how you put it together. Like, I just want to eat. There's a young lady, a coach that I follow, and she bakes as well. So she's gifted. She preaches. She has a coaching business, and she bakes. God accelerated her baking business here recently. She went viral, and I didn't even know she could bake like that. But so she teaches people how to bake, right? And some of you see people bake things, you're like, oh my goodness, I can bake that. I don't think that. I think I can buy it. That's what my mind thinks. My mind thinks I like to buy it. And so Vicky said, I love to cook, right? Okay. And I love to feed people. Think about this, Vicky. And I'm not saying everybody has to go out and start something big, but what impact can you make with what you have in your house? And when I say your house, is your giftings and talents that God has given you to do. All right? Okay? Our gifts and talents are used to be a blessing into this world. There's somebody that was born to create the technology that we have right now. Now, someone had the idea, okay, and they got talked out of it. And then someone decided we're going to do it. They believed big. And guess what? We are recipients of them walking in their purpose. All right? There's so much technology around us. Like, it is absolutely amazing to me that we can press a button and you all can literally see an image of me on your screen as if I was there. It's amazing. All right? But that was someone's idea that was birthed on the inside of them, and they walked it out. And I want y'all to spend time this evening and the rest of this week thinking about ideas that have been downloaded. You didn't do anything with it, or you let someone talk you out of it. And I know you have some. I know you do. Catherine says, I'm looking at learning how to make all occasion money bouquets and sell them. All right. And once the idea comes, you go research. You don't have to always just wait for money to show up for you. And I'm going to talk about some things here later. Got to keep track of time because y'all know I can talk. Okay. First, finding your purpose and passion gives you a sense of direction and meaning. Okay. So I want to share a defining moment in my life. And I've had several defining moments. And God usually, the COVID situation and that divine visitation was literally an interruption. So by nature, I wanted to coach and mentor people for years. I have. I wanted to, right? Things happen in my life, and then I talk myself out of it. Like, I don't know that. Then I started getting sick, right? Every time I would start talking to somebody, then some type of sickness would come, right? And I'll say, well, maybe it's not the time, okay? And then when God came and interrupted my whole life and said, this is what I've called you to do, right? I want you to hear my voice and be obedient and do what I've called you to do, okay? And then we'll say, Lord, let your will be done in my life as it is in heaven. Have you ever said that? Lord, let your will be done. I want your will. And then when the will seems hard or the will stretches you out of your comfort zone, you feel like it's not God's will, okay? Have you done that, right? How many of you have said, God has placed a book on the inside of me and I am going to write that book? I just want to see in the chat because I know it's more than 5. How many of you have said, I'm going to write this book? Okay. How many? Just say me. I want to see the me. I've been, see, just say me so that, because I see yes. Type in me if you have said, I'm going to write a book. Okay? Okay? Denise, you started. Congratulations. So proud of you. Okay? Do you see the me? Do y'all see the me? And this is not to make you feel bad. This is to say, maybe you need accountability. Maybe you need to, like, I did that goals class and nobody hardly showed up. I had like 10 people. Nobody felt like they needed to set goals. That wasn't exciting to show up for that, okay? But the reason you're not accomplishing things, right, is we don't put deadlines. We don't put dates, right? We don't commit to getting it done concerning what we want and what God has put on the inside of us, all right? Look at that. Y'all hear me? And you got to decide that. Like, that's why I said, you've been planning to go on a trip since you was like 20 years ago. 20 years ago, you was like, I'm going to go on a cruise. All right? And you going on a cruise? You say, I'm going on a cruise next summer. I'm going to save up. I'm going to pay my deposit, and I'm going on a cruise next summer. Okay? You got to put a line in the sand and do it. I'm starting my business. And your start tonight, those of you who said you wanted to start a business, what's the name of your business? Right? Don't type it in the chat. Write it in your journal. If you have a business, I'm starting a business. What kind of business? What are you going to start? I'm starting a ministry. I'm starting a nonprofit. And the saying isn't enough. It's the actions that have to be corresponding to that align with your faith. And some of you know this. It's just when the will stretches you out of your comfort zone, then you start to question if it's really the will. But the will of God isn't easy. It's not just going to be easy because it's the will of God. Where in the Bible has anyone who walked in the will of God, where was it easy? It wasn't. Okay? It wasn't easy. They had to walk it out. But think of the benefit that it had on their lives. And not just on their lives, on the lives of others, right? Go forward. Second, finding your purpose and passion brings fulfillment and satisfaction. Of course it will, right? It will. I can tell y'all this. Last night, I went to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning, like 12:30, 1 o'clock, all right? And like clockwork, my body said, 5 o'clock, it's time to get up and be on this prayer call, right? God has put that thing on the inside of me to get up, encourage people, motivate people, get on the prayer call and pray. I don't wake up like, oh my gosh, I got to get on this call, Lord. I don't want to do this today, right? It's something in me that says, Angela, this is what you called to do. I enjoy it. I've been looking forward to this webinar. Since I made the announcement, I've been looking forward. When we got started, I got chills. I get excited about it, all right? And it wasn't easy for me to prepare, right? But I had to prepare for it, okay? It's some people that they just love what they do, and even though it's hard, something in you just keeps on fighting to do it. And some of you have allowed life to push that down so much that you gave up the fight. You're like, well, I'm just gonna be broke. I'm just gonna be like this for the rest of my life. Everybody else was, and nobody else in my family ever accomplished anything. You can be the first one. You hear me? You can be the first one. My mind doesn't think of failure. We're going forward. We're going forward. Some way, somehow, we're going forward. And if y'all want to go forward with me, we're going forward, all right? And I don't want to leave you behind, but we are going forward. We're not going to be the same. We're not turning back. I don't care if you 80 years old, you can still do what God has called you to do. Amen? I don't care if, like, I was at 45 feeling like I didn't have enough time. Baby, I got time to go and do what God has called me to do. And if all I'm called to do is to get you where you're supposed to be for God, for you to have those ideas, concepts, and witty inventions to touch someone else's life in such a way, a child, a teenager, an adult that is off the path. All right. Some of you like to counsel, and you're going to get that person that is so defeated out of that trap, pull them out, and they go forth and thrive and do what God has called them to do. Amen. And you may not be upfront. The gentleman that there's two people that I feel so indebted to. And the gentleman that led me to the Lord, he messaged me or something, or I saw him post something on LinkedIn recently, and we went to college and we just don't keep in touch. I wrote him a message and I said, I said, everything I am today is because you prayed that prayer with me. He wasn't too afraid to preach. And I didn't even want to hear it. I didn't want to hear it. I'm like, oh, here we go. Why is he talking to me about Jesus? I just want to go to the mall. My mind was on the mall. It was on the mall because we was going to go Christmas shopping once his mom picked him up and she was late. I wasn't thinking about being saved. I didn't think that was what I needed, and I needed it, okay? But look at the fruit of that one simple prayer and his willingness to not be too afraid to share the gospel of Jesus Christ when we weren't even talking about it. I came to pick my friend up so we could go to the mall. And he was at her house. And he shared Jesus. I accepted Jesus. My life never been the same. I'm talking about from business, using my giftings and talents to do that. And some of you limit just what you do, especially those of you who are in ministry. God ain't just called you just to teach the word. You multifaceted. You can teach on anything. You can do a lot of things, right? We don't have to just be called in, oh yeah, I minister the word of God. I can minister the word of God and be a coach. I can minister the word of God. Right now, I'm a project manager in corporate America, okay? So I can use my planning, organizing, problem-solving skills wherever God has called me to do that at. And I can preach Jesus, okay? Because he ain't called us into these little places. He's called us to all types of places, making impact in the lives of people, right? And I can do that wherever he's called me to thrive. And you can too. And you just got to take the limits off. Third, knowing your purpose and passion helps you to be resilient and persistent. All right? That just means I'm going to keep showing up until the job gets done. Type that in. I'm going to keep showing up till the job gets done. And some of you don't have the tenacity. You just gave up. You're like, man, that book was too hard. I don't have nothing that's coming to my mind right now. And it's just, I got all these things I got to do, Lord, right? He was looking at you like, girl, go do what you're called to do. Man, go do what I've called you to do. Son, go do what I've called you to do. And you placed him in this box, right, with that job, right? Oh, well, Lord, I didn't go to college. I didn't go to college, Lord, like everyone else. And so I can't have what everyone else has, okay? This is the interesting thing. Now listen to me, y'all listen. Microsoft, like Bill Gates and those guys, they quit school. And I'm not an advocate of that. My humans that God has given me on stewardship over, they know they got to go finish something, right? Okay, I talked to my daughter the other day. I said, her friend is dropping out. I said, oh no, let me tell you, you, my friend, are going to finish. You got 1 year? You, my friend. And she wasn't thinking about it, but I didn't even want it to be in her mind, okay? So I'm not advocating that you quit things, right? That's not what I'm advocating. But they quit school and went and started their business. They did, right? Okay, and some of y'all freaking out because your children did that, and you're like, oh Lord, their lives are not gonna be anything, right? Okay, and let me tell y'all something about those guys that quit school. They made a tremendous impact. You have a computer that's using their technology on some type of front. Now, those who have Apple stuff, you're using their stuff. Some of you are like, well, I don't use Apple. I'm a Droid person, right? Okay, but listen to me. To get a job there, guess what they make you have? A degree. And they quit school. They quit. All right, okay. But it's required that they hire the best of the best at those places. You get what I'm saying? And so I'm sharing that with you, is that you're limiting you when God hasn't defined your life by a degree, because this world system has. You can still go forward and do great things and accomplish great things. You take the limits off, okay? Finding your passion can have a major positive impact on others. Your purpose isn't just about you. The purpose is about, if you are a believer. Now, some people on here aren't believers. If you're a believer, and even the non-believers, it's about the kingdom of God and doing his will, right? And making someone else's life better, not just yours, all right? It's about making a difference, okay? It's about making a difference. Some of you are sitting on some ideas. Think about the problems that you experience, and you're like, if they only did this, then that will solve that. There's things that you think about like that. All right? I want to give y'all an idea that something happened, and I didn't do anything with it. And the funny thing is it's called Angie's List. So my family calls me Angie. I'm saying that for a reason. I remember I moved to Metro Atlanta after college, and I was looking for someone to paint a room or do something that I wanted. And I was like, I wish there was this place that you could just kind of go and see where, like, people that are qualified to do different types of work for you. And in my mind, I was like, maybe there's a place that they had been, like, they did background checks, but it was legit business people that if I wanted someone to come paint my room, I could just go to this website and I could get someone to come to my room, schedule some time, so on and so forth. I came up with that idea. I shared it with my roommate at the time. I was in my mid-20s, and you know, and then just thought about it. It was a great idea. And guess what came out? If y'all remember, you remember Angie's List? They don't call it Angie's List no more. They rebranded themselves. And Angie's List was that. And you know what was so interesting to me about Angie's List? And I didn't spell my name the same way. It was like God said, you had an idea and you didn't do anything with it. All right? Okay? Think about that. Some of you have ideas and you see your ideas in action. So God didn't just deposit one idea, because some of y'all won't do it and it won't be in the earth for us to benefit from. But think about that. The lie that keeps you from your passion and purpose. All right, so I want to hang out here for a few moments, okay? I want y'all to listen to this, all right? Okay. We tell ourselves the can'ts, all right? Okay. We feel like that you can't do what you love, okay, and get paid for it, right? Or you can't do something because you're not qualified to do it yet, right? You lie to yourself and say, well, I shouldn't do that because I'm old now, okay? All right? There are so many businesses that were started when people were over. This is for my 50 and older people, over 50, that started thriving businesses like KFC, all right? You can just think business after business after business after business. That made a big impact. the world, okay? But you feel like, well, you know, I'm on the other side of it. I'm just going to get it, let the young people do it. And I'm telling you that as long as you have breath in your body, don't sit there and lie to yourself and feel like your life is a waste and you've run out of time, okay? Because at 45, I could have thought that same thing, okay? But God has a good plan for my life. And his thoughts and plans for you are good and me, and they're not evil, to give us a hope and an expected outcome. Some of you have had medical challenges that have come into your life. You've had marital situations that have come into your life and they have brought challenges. You've had death from someone that you love deeply and dearly, right? God knows about that. It doesn't mean that your purpose is not still there to be fulfilled. Maybe a unique way that he wants you to get it out and to do it differently. Amen. And you got to seek him, but don't give up. Type in, I'm open to all of God's possibilities for me, okay? And my question to you is, what lie have you told yourself? All right? What lie have you told yourself? I could have told myself a lie and said, well, I've gone through this. My mom was a teenage mom. My mom actually had challenges with addiction as well. And I could have said, well, I'm not going to try to be a good mom, right? I learned and I pressed in to be a better mom. My daughter, the mom that I didn't have, right? And it took time. I made mistakes. I had to apologize, right? I had to evaluate myself. I didn't grow, like my dad was married, but I didn't grow up around my mom married, right? So there were some things that I just didn't know. I didn't have the nurturing aspects of life. So sometimes I'm a little bit tougher because I wasn't raised to be soft like that. I wasn't, right? I'm not the kind of woman, like if I see something that needs to be done around the house, I just go and do it. My dad just taught me how to go and do it. He has, and my husband, he laughs because he said, well, that's why I married you, because I'm the kind of wife that if I tell him to go I ask him to go do something, not tell, and he takes too long, I'm going to get the letter and go do it myself, okay? And some of you are probably laughing because you're like that too. And he's not thinking I'm not letting him be a man. He's like, okay, good, go ahead. I don't have to get on that ladder, okay? But you cannot allow all of these false ideas and false thoughts hinder you, which they have. I don't want you to do that going forward. You have to stop it, okay? The lie is, and I've talked about this, that you have to sacrifice our passion and purpose for stability and security. Now, you do have to eat, and you do have to have a roof on your head, over your head. But when we walk fully in what God has called us to do, we can make profits doing our passion and walking in our purpose. Now, everyone isn't called to be a multimillionaire, right? Some of you want to be, some of you don't. Some of you don't have the work ethic for it. You don't have the work ethic, all right? Sometimes people outwork you, and you're like, well, why do they have all of this? And I'm just over here, and I love God, and I tithe, because they work. They put in the work, you don't, okay? And so you can, right? And ask God, write this down. I want y'all to pray this over God, show me what is it that you call me to do, and help me to be open to all of your possibilities for me. Some of you are called to speak, and you're like, I'm too shy to talk to on the phone. What are you talking about? Some of you are anointed for that. And you're just like, I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm going to speak. I say, do it while you're shaking. And when you do it enough, you stop shaking. All right? Who says that passion and prosperity are exclusive of each other, right? And everybody, prosperity means different things to different people. For me, prosperity means being able to do what I love to do with the people that I love, being obedient to God and serving Him, and doing that with the freedom and without those limitations that may be on me. It's not just for me limited to money, but money is important, okay? Letting go of fears and embracing possibilities. How many of you have been, which I'm going to look at the chat. Oh, somebody said, please say the prayer again. You want to pray this, and you want to say, ask God to help you be open to His possibilities for you. Ask Him to guide you and direct you in what He has called you to do. And I didn't say this before, but give you the courage to carry it out, okay? Because you got to walk it out. Where's my Bible? Hang on a moment. Didn't mean to pull out a scripture, but I want to read this to you real quick. We don't have too much more to go. But I want to go to Joshua chapter 1, okay? And the reason I want to go to Joshua chapter 1 is because Joshua, and I talked about this on the prayer call maybe last week or one day. Joshua was, he was like being mentored by Moses, okay? And so he was watching him do what he was doing and leading, and he could see the mistakes he was making and the craziness of the people and all the stuff that was going on. He was learning and serving and doing the things. Then all of a sudden, God said, it's your time. It's time for you to step up. And God says, I'm going to read this to you. It says, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now, therefore, arise, go over this Jordan, thou and all the people, unto the land which I will give unto them, even to the children of Israel. Every place that the sole of your feet shall tread upon, that have I given you, as I was said unto Moses. From the wilderness, so he's just telling him, I'm giving you all of this land is yours, and I want you to walk into it. And so then he says, therefore, this is verse 5, therefore shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with thee. I will not fail thee nor forsake thee. So he said, I'm going to be with you. It may be a little bit scary, but I'm going to be with you, okay? And so he had just told him nobody's going to come up against you, but then think about it. People started coming up against him, but they did not prevail against him. And he says, be strong and of good courage, for unto this people shalt thou divide for an inheritance the land which I swear unto their fathers. So he tell them again, only be strong and very courageous, that you may observe to do all that's written in the law. So he's saying, be obedient to what I have in this book. And what Moses has said, like they didn't have the Bible like this. Be obedient to what Moses has said and what I've told him. I need you to do it. Meditate on it day and night, okay? Tells him that you may observe to do all that's written in it. Then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt be wise and have good success, okay? Then he says again, have not I commanded thee, be strong and of good courage. Be not afraid, neither be dismayed, for I'm going to be with you wherever you go. And so my question to you is, if you were Joshua, which God speaks to us, right? And he's saying, hey, he's giving you this idea, and he said, go, right? And just because it didn't work out that easy way that you thought it did, right? You got writer's block, or you had some financial challenges come up, or some health challenges come up, doesn't mean that he's not with you. You just can't give up on what he's called you to do and what the plan is. And I don't want you to give up. You can't give up, all right? And so you got to let go of the fears and allow God to move in your life in and through you, okay? And I want you to, and we've been saying this, right? I am open to all of God's possibilities for me. Let's all say that together. I am open to all of God's possibilities for me. What do you all think that means, right? I am open to all of God's possibilities for me. What do you think that means? I want to give y'all a chance. Okay, having good time. Anybody want to type, or is it taking? Did I lose y'all? I don't see anybody typing in the chat. Okay, that I have plans, but God's plans, it may not come like we have expected. Obedience, I surrender my all. God will plan, purpose, that whatever He has for me, I will do it. I am open, right? Okay, it's being open. And one day I was praying, and it probably was around that time that it was some things I wanted to do with my life. And I felt like those things weren't going the way that I thought, in the speed that I thought. Okay. But this says, God, whatever you have for me, I'm open to it. Okay. All right. And so that gives God the ability to come into your life and help navigate you where He has for you to go. And you got to trust Him, and you got to be obedient. Okay. All right. Never place the limit on what God can do in and through you. You are more valuable than you think. Okay. You're more valuable than you think. Even with those mistakes, you're more valuable than you think you are. Okay. You're more valuable. And the beauty of it is that even in those mistakes, God can use those mistakes that you've made to be a testimony of His restoration, testimony of His transformation that takes place in our lives, restoration of His forgiveness and grace, right? An example of that, okay? The fear of failure is often what holds us back from pursuing our passions and finding our purpose, okay? How many of you have allowed fear to keep you from going forward? And I want you to draw a line in the sand and say, I will not allow fear to keep me from going forward, okay? See? All right? Sometimes we fear what people are going to think. Sometimes we fear failure. What if I make a mistake? What if I'm wrong, God? What if I didn't hear God? God gave me the right husband, because I'm telling you, I'm going to go and try, okay? I'm going to go try something. We're doing something, right? And you'll go right along with it. Sometimes it costs some money too, but we're going to do it. We're going to try, okay? Don't say, I will not allow fear from allowing me to move forward, okay? And so as you sit tonight and over the next few days, which I'm going to encourage you to do, and I'm going to have some questions here shortly, I want you to sit with these questions that we're going to talk about, and I want you to take some time. Like, I realized that for me, it wasn't that God needed to download more ideas. I just needed to do what He asked me to do, right? He gave me the idea to do coach and mentor, right? He gave me the idea to help people be able to create wealth in their lives. Like, those are things that He's given me. It wasn't like he had to give me something else different. We're always just looking for that new different thing. He's like, you didn't do the last thing I told you to do, okay? And so many of us have to go back and just do the last thing that He told us to do well, right? And not give up on it and not be afraid. And if it doesn't work out one way, Father, how do you want me to navigate this? Father, what franchise do you want me to open? Father, what occupation do you want me to start? Okay. Some of you wrote 3 pages of the book and you just gave up, right? You got frustrated because of life and distraction. Some of you, God may have given you the ability to write books and prayers about marriage, and then your marriage you went through a divorce, right? Because the enemy was like, oh, no, buddy, no, buddy, we're going to stop this right now. And so now you don't feel like you're qualified to write those prayers to help a woman that was in the same place that you are. that need those prayers, who was in a very hard situation in her marriage, right? And you're like, well, my marriage didn't work out, so I don't think I'm qualified to talk about that, right? But you don't know what God can help you do to pull somebody out where the devil tried to cause disruption in your life, and you can go forward and walk and do something good. This is something I want you to write down and think about, okay? What are some things that you've been afraid to do? And you don't have to put this in the chat. I want you to think about this, okay? What are some things that you've been afraid to do? These are some things I want you to sit with yourself and do, okay? Think about it, okay? If y'all need me to go back, let me know. We have some more questions. What is it that you've just been too afraid to move forward to do? And ideas are coming to your mind right now. So you're not that far from your purpose, all right? And I'm gonna give you some resources that I think will help you as well. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind, okay? So he has not called us to be fearful of going forward. You got to go forward because God is with you, okay? I can sense that someone is like, well, I want to go forward, but I'm not sure if this is what God has called me to do. Take a few steps. God, show me what you're doing. He's not going to just unveil the whole plan, but you got to trust him. You got to walk with him. You got to take his word, like Joshua said, like he gave to Joshua. He said, he didn't give them the whole plan. He just said this: you're going to walk over there, and I'm going to give you this area. But this area of land that I'm giving you, nobody's going to be able to conquer you and defeat you. I need you to follow my word. Just like I was with Moses, I'm going to be with you, okay? He said, but you be of good cheer. Be courageous. Don't be afraid. I'm going to be with you, right? He didn't even say, okay, on day 2, I want you to go do these 3 things. And then I want you to walk down 15 paces and then take a left. He just said, you're going to go over there and I'm going to be with you. And the be with means I'm going to, Joshua needed to be listening for the direction that God was breathing and God was giving. And that's what you got to do. So you got to take a step, all right? And then once you take that step, then you get the next instruction, all right? Sometimes that instruction is going to come in a dream. Sometimes that instruction and idea is going to come while you're listening to something like this. Sometimes you may go to a business event. Sometimes you may see a sign on the street that gives you an idea. Sometimes there's a problem in your life that you solved, and God wants you to use that idea to help others solve those same problems, okay? And it could be a product. It could be an idea. It could be a service, okay? Broken crayons, still color. As I was preparing today and praying and making sure that I had all the slides and had all of them in, and I thought about this: broken crayon, still color. Just because your life isn't perfect, and it wasn't perfect, and you didn't make all those decisions, if you pull a broken crayon and color with it, it still can make a beautiful picture. And no one would know that the crayon was broken except you, because they're seeing the fruit of what that color, that crayon was able to do. And that goes for you. Amen. No one can see all of that stuff you've gone through, right? But you can still make a beautiful life and be used by God, even though you've made mistakes, all right? Even though you made them, there's enough grace for you still to win. Amen. How to find your passion and purpose. Let's talk about this, all right? I wanted to just talk through this for you. How many of you, we talked about, I saw me a lot. We talked about fear, right? And we talk about, you hear people talk about comfort zones. And you can expand your comfort zone, but let's just look at this diagram and talk through this. So in your comfort zone, you feel safe and in control. So there are some things that you feel good. You can do them probably in your sleep. You feel comfortable doing. You feel that you know, there's no limitation in that area, whatever it may be. Okay. Then once you get out of your comfort zone, right? Okay, that's where you start to learn. That's where you start to grow. That's also where you can find excuses. You can be affected by other people's opinions. So say you're going to start that business. And let me share with y'all something. I just love my husband. Let me tell you. So we're about 45 minutes before the webinar's about to start. So my husband says, and he was joking. So he says, "Hey, what you getting ready?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, do you know about the topic? Do you know what you're talking about?" And I looked at him like, "What do you mean?" Like, what? And so I said, "Why would you ask me that?" He said, "I just asked." I said, "Well, why would you ask me that? Why would I do a webinar on finding your passion and purpose if I don't know about it?" I said, "If I wasn't ready right now, we need to push the date, right?" Okay. But think about this. Now, that was a funny little thing, and we laughed, and he knows that, I'm going to talk and we're going to go through this process. But he and I can laugh about that. But some of you don't have that level of support. So you share ideas, and someone may have not celebrated as much. They're like, "Oh, yeah, it's a good idea, I guess. Do you think you can do that?" Or when you were younger, you got talked out of some things, and so you created this insecurity now, and so you're too afraid to go ahead and do it, or you didn't get celebrated, right? When you did some things, or you didn't do things well, and so you have this tendency to think, "Oh, I can't accomplish anything," right? And so that fear zone, you get locked in there, and look what's in the fear zone. You're not going to accomplish the things that God has called you to do in the fear zone. You have to step out into the promised land. The promised land isn't going to come on you. You got to step into it, right? So let's look at the learning zone. Learning zone is where I think this year, this is where I think a lot of people are, growth in the learning zone. And you can push yourself through to the learning zone out of the fear zone. And so you can be shaken. Like I remember the first time I had to speak on stage. I do remember that. And they were like, you can be the speaker. And the room was full of people. And I had accomplished something, and I needed to speak and teach people how to do something. Are you kidding? I was shaking so bad, y'all. I was like this on the inside, shaking. Like I can't even think about how they could have heard me because I was shaking so hard. Like my voice should have been quivering. I also remember we were in a home-based business, and y'all have probably heard me share this. And you probably don't think that this would be me because I talk so much now. But we were on a radio program, and they ended up, somebody knew someone, and we were promoting our product. They got us a spot on a radio show, which was like big in some city. I can't remember. I was so scared to talk. Nobody could see me. But when they were like, "Okay, Angela, it's your turn." Hey, they did all the introductions, and they said for me to start. My mouth no words would come out. I was so scared. And so they tried again. The words, like, it wouldn't come out. I was too scared, okay? And I think about that and where I am right now. I was on a call today for work, and the lady said, I said, "As long as you tell me the words, you put the words on the paper, oh, I can say it, right?" But I haven't always been like this. I'm talking about scared, mind blank, couldn't think of anything to come out. And then when it's over, my mind is like, "Angela, why didn't you say it? That was the opportunity to speak." And you know what I decided? I would not allow fear to keep me broke, and I would not allow fear to keep me stuck. And so I would get in the mirror. I would speak over and over and over. I would learn scripts and say them over and over and over. I would watch people do presentations and I would type up what they said. I would say it over and over and over. I can look in your face and talk to you and not be scared. Now, I don't know if I went to like a Super Bowl and had to speak or something like that. I don't know what would happen there. But I decided that fear was not going to rob me of my destiny. Fear's not going to rob me of walking in my purpose, right? And God has revealed a lot of things to you, and those lies that you tell yourself, or what those voices that life has brought on through other people have hindered you from getting out of that fear zone, moving into the learning zone. And the learning zone isn't easy. The learning zone requires work. The learning zone requires you putting in some effort, staying up late, learning how to do something that you've never done before, learning how to pronounce your words properly, pausing and thinking about it, learning how, for me, like I watch myself speak, and I don't want to say all the time, all right? Okay, I want to be myself, but I want to be the best me that I can be as I'm walking into the calling that God has called me to. And that's not just, we feel like once God has called us to do something and we're knowing it, we could just go do it. And he's called us to be the best, to do it well. And in that learning zone, you learn how to do it well. You learn how to be better. You acquire new skills. You're not going to be able to be your same old self. And look at the bottom where it says, extend your comfort zone. You're expanding your comfort zone. So you're getting a little bit more comfortable with doing that. So today I can get on here and not feel uncomfortable. I can go in a room and talk, right? I can hear some challenges that are going on and be able to solve problems versus get mad, then have this look on my face like I want to hurt you, but I can't, right? Okay. Then we have the growth zone, all right? Growth zone is where you do indeed find your purpose and passion. That's where you're setting those new goals. The young lady who said, hey, I'm going to start my school, okay? Conquer objectives, live your dreams. So it's not just, oh, I'm going to live my dreams tomorrow, right? It doesn't happen like that. Living our dreams requires growth. It requires effort. It requires learning. It's not just an easy thing, right? You have to apply yourself, all right? Because ideas is one thing, walking it out is another thing. Core values, and then I'm going to start to wrap this up. Your core values primarily, when people talk about finding your purpose and passion, our purpose literally is solidified around what we value, okay? And you just have to think about that. I'm going to share some questions with you, all right? Okay. For you to identify some core values, this is what helps you. And I've gone through this exercise and thinking about these same questions. And then I was like, I really enjoy helping people. And if you do like helping people, God will send you people to help. And you think helping people, it feels good, right? But people need help. And people that need help, it's going to take the best of you, okay? So what are the most important things in my life? You answer that. What are some important things in your life? Why are they important to you, okay? And sometimes it has to go beyond, especially for moms, you'll say, my kids are the most important thing to me, right? My daughters are absolutely important to me. My husband, my children, my grandchild, important to me. But that is not the only thing that's important to me, all right? That's not. And I want you to get yourself past that being the only thing that's important to you. There are other things that are important to you that are part of your purpose and God's plan for your life that goes beyond those people, right? It is. Why are they important to me? So the things that are important, why are they important? How do I prioritize my time and my energy? And some of you, the lazy spirit has to come off so that the anointing of God can raise you up to be all that he's called you to be. This next thing, who is at the core of who I am as a person? So what are some things about you? Okay. What are some things about you, like at the core of who you are? And some of you say, well, right now I'm a work in progress. I need God to just work on me in certain areas, and then I can answer these questions. But right now, I just need to really allow God to bring healing in my life so that I can really answer these questions. And some of you don't realize that the pit of your life is what God will use to elevate you, right? So that you can begin to use those situations to be a blessing and a testimony to others. What are the hills I'm willing to die on? You know, it just means what are your beliefs? What do you value, right? What drives you, okay? And don't compromise your values to accomplish things. I don't do that, right? Once you've identified all your core values, go ahead and write them down, okay? All right? Listen to your inner voice, follow your passion, and be prepared to work hard. We talked about this, and sacrifice. Just because you're passionate about it, let me say this. Sometimes you're passionate and you feel like you're going to wake up and want to do it every day, right? Some days you may not want to do it, but something in you is going to drive you to do it. Because if we only do it when we feel like doing it, you're not going to accomplish much, okay? And I've talked to you about this. You probably already at least have an inkling of what your true purpose is. After we talked, and so we talked about it tonight, how many of you, through what I've shared so far, and we have a few more slides to go, feel like, yeah, I kind of know what my purpose is, or I know what I like, or I have some ideas, right? You're not just totally lost on it. It's just sometimes you just need a little tweaking, right, to get you in the direction of it. So some of you just needed to hear me say you've allowed fear to keep you from moving forward with some things. And some of you, you've allowed year after year after year after year, decade after decade after decade after decade, and you procrastinated your way through life, and you found yourself here, and God is like, I still need you to do that, okay? He still needs you to do that. This is something I want to talk about for sure. I want to skip that. Knowing your strengths and weaknesses can help you tap into your purpose and passion, okay? You have to understand this so much. And one friend of mine shared this years ago, and a lot of times it'll make you think about this a lot, but I love her, the way she talked about it. So there are some things that you're really good at. I want you to type in the chat if there's some things that you know you're good at. What do you know that you are good at? Like some of you may be good at cooking, you may be good at solving problems, you may be good at giving advice, you may be good at sharing ideas, right? What are some things that you're good at? I just want to see. I'm good at helping others, okay? I've been waiting on the word procrastination. Good at baking and cooking, okay? I'm good at discerning and advice, which is much needed. I'm good at listening. Do you all know that people need people that can listen? Because people like to talk and don't want to listen. I'm very good at giving advice with some nuggets. I'm good at cooking and encouraging. I'm good at discernment. I'm good at training. All right, that's awesome. I'm good at encouraging others, listening and encouraging. Okay. Anything else? All right. Hey, Donna Lee, good to see you. All right. All right. And now these are some questions I want you to ask yourself. Write these down. I said type them in. Don't type them in, write them down. What is it that I excel at? There's some things that you're just good at. Like some of you can make people laugh, right? Good friend of mine, Jocelyn, some of you know her as Pastor J. She's good at a whole lot of things. But one of the things that I really love about her is she has a way to just make you laugh. There's something about when she's there, I don't even know how she can think of the joke, right? What is it that you're good at and what you can excel at? Hang on, someone raise their hand. No, I'm not unmuting the mics for now. What comes naturally to me? Ask that question. What tasks or activities do I avoid or dread doing? Okay. There's things that me in my corporate project management role, there's some things that fundamentally about that job that I don't like, right? So it doesn't mean that I'm not a good project, but there are some things I just don't like to do. I told y'all I do not like to cook. I like to eat. I don't want to sit there and prepare stuff. I will do it, right? But I'm not like some of you who, man, you could just think about food and recipes. You can open your refrigerator and think about, like, not me. I will settle for popcorn. It's like, what are you eating for dinner? Popcorn. What are you eating for dinner? Blueberries. Cereal. Because my mind, if I have to cook it, my mind just goes, no. I love to eat too. Where do I struggle the most? Oh, this is so good. Where do I struggle the most? One thing, this thing right here for me, I would get mad easy. I would let people have more control over my emotions than I had over them myself. And this was an area that I had to work at. And my husband challenged me in this area. He's like, you get mad too easy. You got to work on that, right? And I did. I worked on it, right? I worked on it, and I'm still working on it, right? This was an area I struggled, and I couldn't carry that. I can't carry that with me where I'm going, okay? What do people ask me to help them with? Some people can see your giftings, okay? Some people can see your giftings better than you. Answer these questions. I want y'all to do that, okay? So I'm hanging out here for a little while. Once you've identified your strengths, then you start to lean into your strengths. And that's what my friend shared. It was like, do what you're really good at. Do that all the time, right? So you don't always have to make your weaknesses stronger, right? You just do what you do well, do it well all the time. Not that you don't want to grow in those other areas, right? But what you're good at, just do that all the time, right? Find a way to do that all the time. What you like to do well, all right? And then what you don't like to do, you can pay somebody else to do it. Reconnect with your passion, all right? I want to skip through this for a second. I don't want to do that one. Let's talk about this. Let me step back. This slide I do want to talk about. Another helpful exercise is to make a list of things that interest you and bring joy. So this is where we train ourselves a lot of times to think about the negative, like what we don't like. Like I've asked people, I was like, what do you like? Then they start with what they don't like. It's like, that's not what I asked you. What do you like to do? Well, I don't like to do this and I don't like to do that. So think about this in your life. What are some things that you're interested in? What are some things that you like to do? Some of you, I'm going to encourage you to begin to do new things, right? Find something new to do. One of the things that I thought I didn't like to do, I remember someone invited me to go paint pottery. I remember. And I said, I don't want to paint pottery. I don't like that. I told them that. It was a coworker. I said, oh, I don't like to do that. It was like, no, it's fun. You would like it. I said, I won't. I don't like that kind of stuff. Guess what? I went and I enjoyed myself, right? So find new things to do because you don't even realize that some of the things that you're saying you don't like to do, you will love them. My husband, his manager said, he told him, my husband loves cruising. And the manager said, oh, I don't like cruising. He told him all the reasons why he didn't like it and how he didn't want to go. Guess what? He recently went on a cruise. Loved it. And he can't wait. They booked the cruise. They booked another cruise on the cruise. So they're going, he loved it. Enjoy every minute of it, right? So find things to do. Find new hobbies. If you are a loner or stay at home by yourself all the time, make it a point to go and network and do things that are outside of that little comfort space of you sitting at home by yourself, kind of being a hermit. Learn how to build new relationships so that you can tap into things that you enjoy and like to do. And you say, well, I don't like to do much, right? you're limiting yourself from enjoying the life that God has given you to live. If money was no object, what would you spend your time doing? We've talked about that. When I have a free day to myself, how do I spend my time? For me, I probably am spend my free time when I say I don't have nothing to do. I'm trying to think of some business idea, or I have to almost make myself not work in a sense, because I'm really passionate about that. What things unite the different things that you enjoy to do, right? I think at the core of who I am, I enjoy people. I enjoy relationships. And so I center activities that I like to do around that and around people that I love spending my time with, okay? All right, there's something that I want to skip towards for the sake of, let me skip through these real quick, all right? We talked about that. All right, I want to talk to you about breaking out of the routine. I got a lot of slides, but there's something I want to show you. And we talked about the routine. This is something that is important. Embrace curiosity. What I did, and I do not as much as I should, is stepping out into things that are not as comfortable for me, or things that I didn't know I liked. And I just appreciate who God has in my life right now, because the people that are in my life, they tend to go and do and explore and learn a lot more than I do. And what I found is being more curious about things versus kind of being in my own little comfortable Angela space, it limits me from allowing those ideas to grow and flourish and thrive. And when I do branch out, right, then God, it's like as if it's like, oh my goodness, something in those environments just caused me to thrive and energize me. Whereas you may be experiencing a block because you've settled in your own little comfortable space with those same people that you've been hanging out with. If you're not sure what your passion and purpose is, one of the best things that you can do is embrace curiosity. So doing things that you haven't not done before, okay? So seeking out new experiences. Number two is going to challenge a lot of you, and we're going to get out of here shortly. Trying new foods and dishes, reading a different type of book, spending time with new people, traveling to new places, learning a new hobby, taking a class, going to a workshop, so doing something like this. Some of you need to go to, and you may have to pay to go to some things, right? Where you can do some different things, volunteering, okay? Find new things to do. And just because we're old, like for me, I'm older, it's like, oh no, that's for young people. Find new things to do. And if you said you were going to go on a trip, I want you to put a date on it. I'm going on a trip between, this, don't say, 5 years from now, or when I can afford it. That's not the day. Put a date down and set your face for that. Finding inspiration in others. I want to skip ahead. Okay, there's something I want to show you. All right, this is here. As you begin to identify your passion and purpose, remember that it is a journey. It's not going to be revealed in one dream. Now, when God has an acceleration on you going forward to do something immediately, right? And usually that idea drops and you need to get going, and you feel the sense of urgency within you, right? But some of us are finding it out as we go. And then God makes the path more clear. Then you go forward. Then he makes the path more clear. Then you meet someone. Then they solidify it and validate, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do. And then one day you're going to find yourself like, oh my gosh, I'm doing exactly what I was born to do. All right. And I wouldn't have thought 6 years ago, when I felt like my life wasn't making a difference. I was like, I'm not making a difference in my life. I would have never thought, like right now, I feel so fulfilled doing what God has called me to do, okay? And those of you who are empty nesters, you'll find yourself sometimes so wrapped up around your children that when they're no longer there, you feel like your purpose is no longer valid. But that's why we're saying our purpose is beyond just those relationships with our children, right? Our purpose is bigger than that. And make small steps towards your passion and purpose. There's some things I want to show you, okay? One, I want y'all to make sure you do this. Spend some time thinking about your core values, okay? And I'm going to send out a document over to you all, a PDF of what we've covered tonight. So if you miss some things, it's okay, all right? Next thing, as you work through the exercises, you have to remember that it's a journey, it's not perfection. You can make mistakes as you even are trying to go and do those ideas that God is giving you. Sometimes you're gonna make a mistake, and guess what you do? We learn and grow from our mistakes. These are some tools that have helped me, okay? I've been fortunate to have, in my corporate career, I've been a part of companies that do personality assessments. And I used to really not like them, right? Like, why are you trying to put me in a box is what I would say, but you had to do it. So these are some personality assessments. And if you need more information on how to access them, I can get those to you. So the Enneagram is a really good one. Most of these, there's a fee for you to get them. Sometimes in your corporate spaces, they provide these for you, but it gives you some idea. Like it may say, it'll give you some sense of who you are and kind of where you should drive your career. When I was younger in my career, it was kind of like, I just felt like I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. I just always had felt like that until probably now in my life when I'm walking more in my purpose. Strengths Finder, that Myers-Briggs, if you were in high school, is when I took that. They use that quite a bit in high school for, like, I felt like they were doing it for the military. And then the DISC assessment. So if you're personality focused, if you do decide to go through, like, do some coaching or mentorship with me, I will recommend some of these things because sometimes it just helps to have clarity. Other resources. Now, there are other resources. These are faith-based resources. I want you all to be careful about some of the books, especially Christians. There are some that are, I don't think they're aligned with our beliefs. And so you have to be sensitive about what you feed your spirit. And so these are some that I want to recommend that are just kind of, if you haven't had the opportunity, 5 Love Languages is a really good book to just kind of talk through, especially if you're having challenges in relationships and you feel unfulfilled in relationships or people are telling you they're not. Kingdom Purpose by Tony Evans, okay? And what I will do is add these to my recommended reading list, and so you can get that from the link in my bio. Finding God's Will for Your Life by Joyce Meyer. And then also Purpose Driven Life. That was a really popular book when I was in my early 20s or 30s. But Purpose Driven Life is an older book, but it still has a lot of value, and there's workbooks that go with it, okay? So screenshot this list, and I will also add it